You're listening to a new episode of Girl Down Podcast with your host, me, Aeon. So sit back, relax, and listen as I unpack the uncertainty of my 30s, one episode at a time. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Girl Down Podcast. It's me, Aeon. Yes, I know I'm supposed to be on a summer hiatus, but I felt it on my spirit to record the show. It is currently 4 in the morning, so I got off work early the day before. I had a headache and I went to sleep and I woke up and it was midnight and I have not been to sleep ever since. So I am here. So this is a gift to you all. But I want to thank all of you all who support me. Also, shout out to any new listeners who may have come here because you've been watching my promotions on Chasing Atlanta and the Chasing Reality channel. So I just want to welcome you to the spot. I'm still on hiatus, but maybe from time to time I might give you an episode here and there if something moves my spirit or if it's something that I really want to speak about. Now that the dust has settled with Macy Gray and the transphobic comments that she made on the Piers Morgan show and her kind of apologizing for those comments and then doubling down again when she did the live with Flame Monroe, Candace Owens of the trans community. I just want to have a conversation just without any of the heat on my side to just kind of like unpack this myth and conception that I see a lot of cis women trying to propagate, that trans women have this power and we're forcing our view and our perspective on women and we're taking stuff away from women and women can't have anything. And I just really want to have a conversation. And you know the format of my podcast. I'm not going to be on here too long, but I just want to say that that's not true. But before I really unpack, during the midst of the whole Macy Gray firestorm, and I was just sharing stuff on my personal social media platforms, I came across this black cis woman, Tracy Q. Gilbert, Tracy Q. Gilbert, who posted something on her Twitter page that really resonated with me and that really spoke to just the difficulty of the current time we're in, especially when we look at the relationships between trans women and cis women, and just kind of what needs to happen moving forward as we are in proximity to each other. A lot of times we share harm with each other. Well, we share experiences with each other. So my ultimate goal is to not necessarily create some bridges, but kind of give a different perspective. So Dr. Gilbert states on her Twitter page, just like white people need to grieve an evolution of humanity that is no longer centered around their supremacy, cis women are going to need to grieve an evolution/elevation of womanhood that does not center them. As powerful as they are, there is so much more we can offer the world besides our uteri, dear cis trim. And I think that this statement was so spot on, and I'm glad that a black cis woman just has that type of clarity to not kind of be distracted. And clearly the sister is a critical thinker to really capture the zeitgeist of what is going on right now and just the difficulty that a lot of cis women, particularly the cis women that I see reacting to these type of stories in this comment, or the Claudia as a woman Jordan had Zoom call, the various Zoom call shows on Fox Soul, just the difficulty that they are, in my opinion, mischaracterizing as trans women in particular, or the trans community is taking power from them or taking their things, and that they should really be recontextualizing this as them decentering themselves from womanhood. That's why, and it's hard, and it's going to be an uncomfortable process. It might be confusing for them at first, but that's exactly what is going on. That is exactly why these things keep on happening, why this reaction keeps on happening. And it's really unfortunate that the powers that be are mischaracterizing the visibility of trans folks, controlling our narratives, telling our story, defining ourselves, and just having autonomy over ourselves. It's really shocking that that's being mischaracterized as us forcing women out of their space, or taking things from women, because factually and statistically that's incorrect. I just had a conversation with one of my good girlfriends who's a cis queer woman, and she just kind of wanted to hear my insight, and she kind of was like, well, if you're a proud trans woman, why is it a problem if you're just called a trans woman and just not a woman? And it's just like, no, it's important that I'm recognized under the spectrum of what it means to be a woman, and that we enlarge that to include all types of women. And because it's being mischaracterized that trans women have this type of power that we just protect, as a trans community, we don't. We have more visibility. We might have more access, but the trans community does not have institutional or systemic power to really force cis women to do anything. And also, I think there's a conflation between changing cultural norms and power. I think because cis folks feel like culturally they have to engage with trans folks in a different way, it feels like trans folks have this power to force cis folks to respect trans people in that way. And I don't necessarily think that's the truth. I think, again, this goes back to trans folks are living more visible. There's growing and evolving media representations of trans folks. Trans folks feel more comfortable to share their identity and to take up more space. And because of that visibility, it has shifted cultural norms. But again, it hasn't shifted power, because we just don't have, trans folks are just, we don't have access to institutions to really create changes how we need to change to alter our life outcomes. And for instance, I was telling my friend, like, yeah, pronouns might be a thing, or you might have an awareness of trans people, but even with me going to the doctor and getting a system to recognize my unique body, we're not there yet. And I don't know if we'll ever be in my lifetime. And even all of these platforms like Claudia Jordan shows, or any of like the transphobic platforms, the fact that you all get to sit on a paid platform, on a paid network, and get a paycheck for basically invisibilizing or trying to demean my existence, but trans folks don't have the access to those same opportunities and platforms to kind of rebut that, and that speaks to the lack of power that the trans community is able to wield, because We're not in those institutions, openly and proudly and protected. Yes, some of us might have podcasts or like one-off things, but we don't have the platforms and we don't have the reach to truly counteract the narratives. That's why you're able to remain uneducated in your viewpoints and just spew out hate, because the trans community lacks power. And while, and I think this is something that we've always said, that visibility is not saving us, particularly as we've seen the visibility of particularly Black trans women rise in media. We've also seen a rise in the murders of Black trans women, and that's simply because the structure, we don't have the social supports to really support our lives on the regular everyday level. Which kind of speaks to how we don't have power to force cis folks to do anything. But I challenge cis women who are really struggling with, and I get it. And again, we have to relate this back to racism and whiteness, because, it's easier to see something when you're able to, it's easy to see something when your own prejudices are not in question. But I really want cis women in particular cis Black women, to really struggle with why it is so hard for them to accept Black trans women as women. And until you do that, even if you try to say the right things and do the right things to be on the right side of the social norms, if your heart is not right in creating space to welcome any type of woman that shows up, even if that woman happens to be assigned male at birth, or that woman has a penis, ultimately your true politic of you not seeing trans women like myself as women, is going to show up, and it's going to create harm. It's going to show up when you have to vote. You might have to vote for issues that affect trans women. You might have a position of power if you're working somewhere and you happen to employ a trans woman. Your inability to see this, and I'm only speaking about trans women, your inability to see trans women as women, not just trans women, but in the greater scheme of women, it at some point it will harm an actual trans woman who's in proximity to you. You might have a child that might transition to be a trans woman, and also it can harm trans men too. You not seeing them, you not creating, or maybe not you, but society's inability to expand their idea of what it means to be a man is invisibilizing trans men, trans masculine folks who decide to carry children. It's invisibilizing their experiences, and you're missing a nuance from this reproductive justice conversation that is necessary if we're moving forward to make sure that abortion access is not solely recognized as a woman's issue, but again, it's an issue that affects anybody that can carry a child, no matter what gender they identify. So it's just the inability to really grapple with and struggle with, because the goal is not erasure. Simply by expanding the idea of what it means to be a woman does not erase cis women. Like cis women, the logic of expanding is that cis women will still get to be there. They might not necessarily get to be the center, which I think is what a lot of cis women want, because being the center is comfortable. Being the center, you get to exclude. You get to. There's a lot of privilege that comes with being the center, and being the standard. But yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Unfortunately, we will probably be here again because in real time we are seeing what it means for people to work through their own issues and to work through their own prejudices. I am willing to extend grace to black cis women to a point, but at some point I have to protect myself as a trans woman, and I have the right to protect myself because there are black cis women that get it. There are black cis women that are progressive and inclusive of their conception of womanhood, and they know that by acknowledging my womanhood and my experiences in the ways that they are similar, even while acknowledging the differences, that it makes us stronger as a community. And also, it's a distraction. And none of these conversations about what's a woman or what's a man, did nobody. Just a few weeks ago, Supreme Court made up of mostly men, cis men, and white cis women took away the constitutional right to abortion, and nobody brought that. And a trans person, black, white, male, female, or non-binary, will never have that institutional power to affect a right like that is impactful to so many people. So it's the ultimate distraction, and I really want cis women. And my friend also brought up that we don't have this conversation with men, and I was like, we don't. We don't. And you know why? Because they're purposely creating these seeds of dissension to distract us to the fact that they are the ones creating all of this harm and chaos that affects all women. You see, Macy Gray did this on a man show. She made these comments on a man show, knowing that she would be unprotected, knowing the backlash that she would receive, and where was just a protection and support after Macy Gray was dragged. This black woman. Yeah, but I know I do have a lot of black cis women listeners. And like I said, I'll give grace to a point now. I'm not about to let you. I'm just not about to debate with you whether you want to call me. What's the point of doing that? What's the point? What's really the point of doing that? And that's why I'm not the type of trans woman that I'm not like the Flame Monroe that's just going to bow my head to cis women, because I don't think that's necessary. I think black trans women, we do that as a disservice to our ancestors, our black trans women ancestors that existed right alongside black cis women, that contributed to society, whose legacies and histories were purposely erased and not told in our history. There's so many black trans femme folk or black trans masculine folks that we don't know about because their histories were purposely omitted and purposely not told. But I don't need to give homage to a black cis woman any more than I would like on a regular, when I know I had my black trans ancestors living right alongside them. I think about all the documented reports of folks that transitioned after they were able to be freed from slavery. I think about Frances Thompson. I think about Mary Johnson. I think about all of these black trans women, Little X, and black trans men, and black trans non-binary folk, or black trans folks who didn't have language available to them to identify their identities. I think about all of these people that existed, and also the black trans folks that existed in stealth, because that was the only choice that they had, and they were able to do so much and contribute so much. So I can't give any more homage to a black cis woman than I would give to my own black trans ancestors, because even if I don't have the concrete proof that I know that they existed and that they live, I'm spiritually connected to them. I'm spiritually linked to them, and there's enough space in my womanhood, in my sphere of womanhood, where I see cisness and transness on the same level. I know the world does not see it like that. I know the world does not have it set up like that. The world has it set up that my transness is a cheap imitation of cisness. But me unlearning the transphobia and the the racism and the fat phobia, I know that my transness and cisness just happen to exist on the same plane. None cisness is not higher than transness, and so therefore, if we're going to be in sisterhood, we're going to be in sisterhood together as women. You have to see my transness as equal to your cisness in the grand scheme of womanhood. Doesn't mean it's the same, and I don't necessarily want it to be the same. I'm not running around saying that I was born male at birth or I'm not running around saying I'm a female. I've never said that. Now I'm legally female because I need to, again, to access certain things in these systems and institutions that are not set up for me. So yes, I am legally female, but I know that medically I'm assigned male at birth, but I identify as a woman, and I'm still able to connect to other women, cis or trans. I'm able to build sisterhood with those who are ready to build it with me. And there's enough space for all of us. I don't live in this white supremacy scarcity mindset where I have to exclude you so I can get everything. No, I just don't believe like that. And that's just where I'll leave this episode. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I encourage cis women in particular to challenge themselves with seeing themselves as center, and for them to not erase but expand just what it means to be a woman, because really ultimately it will mean safety for us all. It will mean safety for all women and all femmes if we have this radical politic that is inclusive of, for women who live and navigate and move through life as women. It'll be more safer if we're just looking at it on sex, if we include an abortion justice framework that includes all birthing people, including trans masculine folks, assigned female at birth folks that have the ability to give life. It should be a utilitarian thing, and we have to get back to that. But that's all that I have to say on this topic. I don't have to drag Macy Gray. Life has dragged her. And Claudia as I Jordan, as a woman Jordan, all of them type of girls. Honey, I just pray for y'all, because as black trans women get visible and we ascend higher, y'all are really going to be mad, but that's not my problem. I'm here to build sisterhood with women, no matter how you identify, that are ready to build sisterhood with me. Keep me in your prayers. I move to my new location next week, so just keep me in your prayers. And thank you all so much. I will see you all next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. If you like the show, please be sure to go on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast. Also, make sure that you're engaging with me on social media. Also, if you have any inquiries or you want to send me any questions, be sure to email me at girldownpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, bye y'all.